What is going on, boys? And today we need to talk about Raw after Mania because this is definitely one of the greatest Raws after WrestleMania. A lot was happening, so pretty much what I want to do today is just go through everything that happened today and give you my thoughts on it. I really don't do this type of stuff, right? I don't do Monday Night Raw reviews or SmackDown reviews or even NXT reviews just because there's always something to do. There's a lot of wrestling content, and since that would be like a weekly series and like there's 3 shows, I don't know. I just don't really have time. But if there's ever a show that I think is a 10 out of 10, I just have to get my thoughts out on. I want to start doing that. And this is Raw that we definitely have to talk about. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off with the beginning of the show. John Cena coming out, celebrating his 17th, if really celebrating, just roasting the crowd a little more. Great little promo, just pretty much continuing how he's gonna talk about ruining wrestling and stuff and taking home the belt and everything again. But the biggest and probably my favorite part of this Raw is Randy Orton comes out and RKO's John Cena, setting up their match in the future, which, you know, the next PLE is Backlash. So I would assume this match happens at Backlash. And even when they released the Backlash poster a few weeks ago before WrestleMania, Randy Orton was on the poster. It was just Randy Orton himself with a bunch of snakes around him. So that was kind of confirming that Randy Orton would be at Backlash. So I don't think he'll just randomly RKO John Cena and then they just wait like a few events to do this match. I feel like this is happening at Backlash, and I hope this is honestly the main event of Backlash, John Cena versus Randy Orton. But this is cool because, as we know, this is my favorite feud of all time is John Cena and Randy Orton. I think it's between that or John Cena and CM Punk. Depending on my mood, I can flip either day. But yeah, this is crazy because usually Randy Orton was the heel every single time, obviously, and John Cena was the babyface. This time it's switched. John Cena is the heel. Randy Orton will be the babyface. So this will be fun to watch to see what they do. Hopefully this is a good match. I've been waiting for them to do this ever since John Cena announced his retirement tour. My top 3 I want to see John Cena verse on his retirement tour is Randy Orton, CM Punk, and AJ Styles. So we got one down, and this is going to be insane. Alright, next up is the Women's Tag Team Belt match because a few things happen here. So let's get into it. So first of all, Liv Morgan, Raquel versus Bayley, Lara Valkyria, rematch from the day before from WrestleMania. And this match itself was actually fire. They were putting on some banger spots. It was a cool match to have on Raw after Mania. But obviously by the end of it, and this actually shocked me, Liv Morgan does one of the most beautiful Bolivian ever, where she perfectly, you know, hits Lyra, and Lyra sells it perfectly on the head, flopping over. But Liv actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, like, catches her ponytail so she can bring her back to her to go for the pin. It was just so beautiful. And then Liv Morgan gets the pin. So Liv and Raquel become four-time, tag team belt champions, which is insane to me. So they had the women's tag team belts 4 times now. That's also crazy to think about. Excuse me. Don't know. I'm choking on that. I'm choking on it because it's so crazy. And then, but that's not all, right? That was a shocker. But then we had another shocker with Becky actually turning on Lyra by the end of the match. So Lyra, you know, Becky, you know, at the end of the match, just like almost 90% of heel turns, you know, Becky lifts her up, and she's kind of like, oh, it's okay. But then, bam, turns on her, starts whacking on her, starts yelling at her. So they're obviously setting up Lyra and Becky for at some point. Now, the only thing I'm confused is I don't know if they're going to do this match on a Raw or Backlash. Just because being Becky Lynch, you know, herself, this obviously should be on Backlash. And then Lyra Valkyria is also amazing. And I've been waiting. I feel like this is a dream match for a lot of people to see. I know we've seen it before because obviously Lyra dethroned Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's belt, almost a tag title. Sorry, a lot going on here. Yeah, I do want to see this again on the main roster for the IC title, whether it's Raw, whether it's at Backlash. They're obviously setting that up, so I'm excited for both. And it looks like Becky Lynch could even join a certain faction, a new faction that I'll talk about at the end of this video. Alright, and then next up, we actually get a crazy return because we have Alpha Academy versus New Day for the tag team belts here. And it was just an okay match, nothing crazy. I just felt like the New Day and War Raiders match should have been on this card on Monday, you know, after all, but it is what it is. This was a fine match. But the cool thing about this match, whether you like the match or not, is the whole point of this match was to bring Rusev back. He came back at the end. He actually took off took out Alpha Academy, which confirms he's still a heel, right? If he was a babyface, he would not be taking out Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy being one of the most loved factions groups right now. Obviously, that's confirming, hey, I'm still a heel. I didn't come back to be a babyface. And he even cut a promo that you can see on like TikTok and Instagram about him coming back and taking everything. So yeah, we get the Russo return. I'm excited. I did make a video on who I think he should feud with first when he returns, and I thought it was going to be on SmackDown in that video, and maybe even go for the U.S. title. And I thought it was going to be LA Knight, but now Jacob Fatu is holding the belt, and now Rusev didn't even go to SmackDown. So that whole video went to crap, so I might actually make a part 2 of people Rusev can, feud with on Monday Night Raw. Unless they just wanted him to bring him back on the Raw after Mania, right? And then maybe he still will be moved to the SmackDown brand. I hope so, because I wouldn't even mind a Rusev versus Jacob feud for the U.S. title. That would be pretty fun. But yeah, anyways, Rusev came back. We know we're going to have to get some returns here on Raw after Mania, so that was a fun one. We all thought this was going to be Randy Orton's opponent, but no, it was Joe Hendry, which I didn't mind. Joe Hendry was a fun one. Rusev came back today. I'm excited what they deal with them in the future. All right, and in my personal opinion, probably the most shocker thing to happen on Raw after Mania. Actually, second, because I think we know what happened at the end, but this was still pretty shocker. Io Sky comes out pretty much just celebrating. She's the new one. She's still the women's heavyweight champion. And then Stephanie Fakir's music actually hit. And like, who expects the NXT stars music to hit? Like, I expected somebody's music to hit. Obviously, like usually when a champion comes out and celebrates, right? Somebody's gonna come out, and that's gonna set up the next feud with that belt. But I don't think anybody expected Stephanie Fakir. Definitely when she already has plans for the day after on Tuesday, right? We already knew she was gonna have plans on Tuesday. They're setting up like her and Roxanne match and stuff. So that definitely caught me off guard. But I honestly thought she was just coming out to just like a little promo, right? But then not just that, they also had an amazing promo with them just respecting each other. We actually get like a classic 10 out of 10 Raw match, which is insane. That match was really long too. Like, it was just going on. They were hitting every move on each other. And not just that, I'm glad it ended in a DQ. Because I don't think any one of them should have won. Definitely both being champions of their brand. I think you just have it end like that. I don't think Stephanie should have won. I don't think Io should have won. Save that for, tease that again in the future when Stephanie gets moved up. And then we could do the Stephanie and Io Sky feud again and have a one-on-one match where we actually do get a winner. But speaking of the DQ, why did we get a DQ? Because of Roxanne Perez screwed Stephanie, or hit Io, I guess, but screwed Stephanie of winning the match because it canceled the match. And obviously, as we know, on the day after, on Tuesday night, we're going to be getting Roxanne versus Stephanie Fakir for the bell. So I guess they're just setting that up. But what caught me off guard is actually Julia coming out and helping Roxanne. So there's a few things here. One is Julia and Roxanne teaming up. You know what I mean? I thought this is cool and bad for me. Good, because a Julia and Roxanne tag team would be fun. They're like top two female superstars in NXT right now. And Roxanne deserves to be on the main roster, so that would even be a fun team to begin with. But something I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about is, right, Roxanne went for Stephanie and started whacking on her. Julia was whacking on Io Sky. For me, Julia and Io Sky is a dream match, so I don't even know if they were even teasing that possibly, right, in the future, like Io Sky and Julia match. Whether that's on NXT if Io comes down or Julia comes up. Either way, I want to see that match. But yeah, then by the end of it, after they both exited the ring, when this was Rhea Ripley's segment also. Rhea Ripley came out and saved them, so it's cool to see Rhea Ripley. But and then after they both exited the ring, Julia and Roxanne look like they're standing next to each other, almost like they were a tag team. So that makes me a little more intrigued to I'll watch NXT with the Roxanne and Julia, see if they're a team. I want to see the Roxanne and Stephanie match. So that was a really good segment. For Raw, for one, we had a 10 out of 10 Raw match, but two, they also hyped up NXT the night after 10 times more. So they did a good job business wise as well. So the whole thing was fun. And yeah, that was probably one of my favorite parts of this Raw, was just that whole segment, the match, the aftermath, everything, classic. All right, and it's something I want to talk about is actually right after this we actually get a backstage interview with Kathy Kelly interviewing AJ Styles, pretty much just talking about how he took the L to Logan Paul at WrestleMania, but AJ Styles pretty much confirming, it's okay, I'm gonna take the L and move on. So they're pretty much saying we're not getting a Logan Paul and AJ Styles rematch, right? Like we're moving on from that. Logan Paul is gonna move on, AJ Styles is gonna move on, let them go do their next little feuds, next little stories, whatever they're gonna do. But um what happened at the end, Karrion Kross came out in the interview, pretty much just, starting the AJ Styles and Karrion Kross stuff again. Karrion Kross pretty much just saying again, hey, we needed your old self to beat Logan and whatever. But that's not even the crazy part. When after AJ Styles walks away, AJ Styles says, hey, how about you handle it or something? He walks away, and then Karrion Kross is saying, maybe I will. So what I got from this is actually we could maybe get a Logan Paul and Karrion Kross beef, right? We had this for a few weeks now before, since, while they're hyping up this Logan AJ Styles match before WrestleMania. Karrion Kross kept coming up to AJ, and he's been hating on Logan Paul and saying AJ needs a win. So I think this could be the next thing for Logan Paul and Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, I mean, he's been complaining, we've been complaining that he needs to be pushed. So why not push him with a superstar that gets one of the most superstars that gets one of the most viewed on social media, right? Like whatever, every time Logan Paul has a match, there's always something from his match that will become one of like the most viewed clips from that PLE or event or whatever it is, right? So Logan Paul, Karrion Kross, this would be a cool little thing to start the Karrion Kross push. That would be a fun match. That would be a fun story. So yeah, I hope they actually do that. So in my opinion, I think they're setting up Karrion Kross on Logan Paul. And they could also go, oh, maybe Karrion Kross are just saying maybe he'll do it himself by taking out AJ Styles. That would be cool, but I just hope we don't do another AJ Styles Karrion Kross story. I'd just rather have Karrion Kross move on to different people. And like I said, it'd just be fun for Logan and Karrion Kross, a match we've never seen before, so let's do it. Alright, and again, I know I keep saying this, but another shocker, another craziness, because literally this Raw was a 10 out of 10. Like every segment, every match, everything was like a 10 out of 10. This Raw was going crazy. We actually got Gunther attacking the commentary team. He attacked Michael Cole, as we seen, was choking him out, and then Pat saved him. He came, punched him, and he was kind of standing there. And then when he turned around, obviously Gunther being the heel, he started, choking him out in a submission move. And then Pat was pretty much out. And then they set that up. Gunther walked away. Pat had to go for the rest of the night. So I don't know, because as we know, Pat's been in the ring before. He had WrestleMania matches. He's been in a Royal Rumble. He was even in NXT back in the day. Obviously, he can wrestle. So I don't even. They might honestly be setting up a Gunther versus Pat little match here, which would be kind of cool. Um, I know a lot of people probably be like, "Oh, that sucks for Gunther. He was just the heavyweight champion, and now he's versing a commentator. Who cares? It's fun. They've been setting up, Gunther and Pat been hating each other ever since this Gunther and Jay story's been started. Anyways, it'll be a cool little match. I wouldn't mind it. I always like when commentators have their matches. Obviously, the iconic Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler match at WrestleMania 20, was it 27? 27, I believe. But yeah, is what it is. Pat, Gunther, I'm curious what they do there. Or maybe they're just not setting up a match. Maybe they're just setting up Gunther to be more of a heel. So yeah, curious what they do from Gunther here on out. And then we actually got Dirty Dom versus Penta for the IC title. This was actually, the match itself was fire. It was cool to actually see Dom come out and people cheering, and him even just doing moves or winning the match. People were actually cheering for him. But the way that Dirty Dom won this match was actually JD coming back, which did catch me off guard. I knew online they're talking about how he is cleared and at any point they want to bring him back. They just don't know when. But I don't know why I didn't think about Raw after Mania. So JD came back, pretty much helped cheat with Dom to win the match. And again, it was kind of funny. Even though Dom cheated here with JD's help and stuff, the crowd was still cheering. That's how over Dom is right now, even being a heel. So that was just, the match itself was fun. We got JD back, so that was pretty cool. Cool little main event match, and got a return there. And the full Judgment Day was back, as you can see. The closing shot before like the commercial, whatever, was the full group back. But the curious thing is, or the cool thing I guess you could say, is Finn Balor did look a little confused. So I think they are setting up, Finn Balor leaving the group and even turning him babyface, which sounds crazy because Dom's the one being cheered. But I do believe, Dom should stick with Liv in the group. I think he fits the group better. I think Finn would be better on solo as a babyface. And I wouldn't mind a Dirty Dom versus Finn Balor match at SummerSlam. I've been saying this since my WrestleMania predictions video. I do want Dirty Dom versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam for the IC title. I think would be amazing. Alright, and this is what I've been waiting to talk about. The whole Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. First time seeing them come out together. They come out, and then Seth is just cutting his promo, talking about how he's like the new guy of WWE, whatever. CM Punk's music hits. He comes out. Him and Seth are fighting. CM Punk is actually winning the fight, but Paul Heyman, being Seth's new guy, obviously he's gonna help him. Kind of distracts CM Punk. Seth is able to get his eyes and stomp CM Punk. CM Punk is done. And then it looks. I kind of like how they did this. They even put the credits up and everything. It looks like they're literally ending the show. And then I see just zooms into Seth. They're like, all right, this is the final shot of the show. Seth standing tall on CM Punk. Seth's the new guy, but as soon as it goes to CM Punk's face, Seth Rollins' face, my bad, bam, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns himself. I felt the aura a mile away. The music hits, Roman Reigns comes out. Spears Seth, starts dogging on him, and he actually wins the fight against Seth. But then we get a new member of Seth's little group. It looks like he's creating. Braun Breaker comes out himself, spears Roman Reigns, which is crazy. The two spear guys, Spear Pierce, shout out Melly. It's just crazy. Shocker. I just thought it was just gonna be Seth or Paul, or Seth or Paul was with Rock and John Cena, which still could be the case, but at this point, I don't think honestly anymore. I think that he is creating his own group. Now we know that Braun Breaker, Seth, and Paul are all three together. That's a new little group there. Even Braun Breaker takes out Roman Reigns on the thing, and then even stomps both of them. So CM Punk and Roman Reigns are looking at each other, both get stomped. So to talk about that, we actually might see a CM Punk and Roman Reigns team up, which would be fun because none of them have friends right now. CM Punk lost Paul, Roman lost Paul, and all he obviously doesn't have the bloodline anymore, so they don't really have a choice whether they like each other or not. It looks like they might have to team up to fight against Seth's new group here. But then the closing shot, is pretty much Paul saying that Seth is the new number one, and then we got Braun Breaker, Seth, Paul all raising their hands, pretty much, getting that shot of the new group. But I did want to talk about who else could maybe be in this group, because I feel like a group should always have a woman, in my opinion. That's what makes a good group. And I think, obviously, no other than Seth Rollins' wife, Becky Lynch. And I'm not even just saying that because she's the wife. But obviously that's why it came to mind. But she did just turn heel, so I feel like they're actually wanting to do this, right? She just turned heel against Lyra. Obviously Seth's group is heel, obviously. So she would fit right in, turning heel now. Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, Paul Heyman. That four little group would be fun. I think that's how you start the group, and then later on you could add more members if you want. Obviously, kind of like Judgment Day, right? Judgment Day started small, and then it just expanded, and just kept adding members. I think this is what you do. We do need a new group now with the Bloodline being gone. The Judgment Day is pretty much our only big group. But they can even lose some people here with Finn Balor or something. And you have smaller groups, right? You have Alpha Academy, but that's just Otis, Akira, and Maxine. I'm talking about a big group. Like how big Judgment Day was, or how big Bloodline was, right? Bloodline had Roman, the Usos, Sammy, Solo, and Paul, a big group, you know what I mean? We don't really have that right now other than Judgment Day, but like I said, who knows how long that's gonna last. So I think this would be fun. This was a crazy Raw, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10 Raw. You guys gotta let me know what you guys think, all your thoughts, all your predictions, all your theories. Were the matches 10 out of 10s. This was a fun one. Like I said, I normally don't do these type of videos, but if there's ever a Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or even just an event I just want to get on here and kind of yap about and give you my thoughts on, I will do that, because I just had to get this off my chest, because that's the whole point I made this channel, is to talk to other WWE fans, because I don't really have anybody else to talk to about this stuff. So yeah, this was fun. Hope you all enjoyed. Drop a like, sub if you're new. I'm gonna catch you all in the next one.